Hello, hello, and welcome into a Crown Royal Water Break Wednesday. This is always a fun Wednesday journey that we take. And my name's Drew Dougherty, along with my good pal, Marc Vandermeer. He's the voice of the Houston Texans. You and I did a Texans extra points a couple weeks back. That was cool.
Mhm.
Today, we're answering fan questions. So, Marc, are you ready to answer fan questions from all around the World Wide Web and really the globe?
This is so cool. Yes, I want some questions from Europe. Get our Scottish Texan and German Texan. Can we get some European questions, some Euro questions? And what about our fans in Mexico too? Armando, where are you? Happy birthday, by the way.
Just you wait, because those will soon come. But we just heard from David Culley, the head coach of the Houston Texans, about 30 minutes ago, and he gave us a bunch of news. Tyrod Taylor, I think, is the main story there. He's not going to play this week. Secondary story is Laramie Tunsil, your left tackle, Pro Bowler. He's going to miss at least 4 weeks because tomorrow he's having surgery on a thumb. So no LT, no Tyrod Taylor this week. However, rookie receiver Nico Collins could be back soon. He's going to start practicing. So that's a good bit of news. It's going to be on a limited basis. And then Danny Amendola as well, also coming off a hamstring injury that he got in Cleveland in week 2. He could soon play too. But what did you take from what we heard from Culley this morning? Because he also said whenever Tyrod Taylor is healthy enough to practice and play, he's your starter at quarterback. There had started to become some question over whether that would be the case because of what Davis Mills did last Sunday.
It changes with the win, though, as far as outside the building, Drew, because you think about it like this. If Davis Mills put up another 4-interception performance on Sunday, right now we'd be saying, oh, my gosh, Tyrod's not ready for Indianapolis. What are they going to do?
Right.
But since Mills played so well, it was the best passing performance against the Patriots this year. I know it was in a loss, but when you look at the sheer numbers of it, that was a gigantic step forward for Davis Mills. Now, I'm not saying he takes another one on Sunday. I'm hoping he does. But the rookies, it's ebb and flow. It's a roller coaster ride a bit with them. I think people feel a lot better about Davis Mills right now as far as what he is coming off of, which was a 3-touchdown, 300-plus yard passing performance. And what's David Culley going to say right now? I think Tyrod, yeah, he is the starter, and they were playing well with him. And I'd love to see what Tyrod can do with this football team. But you feel better about the situation if he can't go after what Davis did on Sunday. And there's no reason to say, even if it was the case, that, yeah, we're going to have a quarterback competition and see who's got the hot hand. Why say that? Why even start that up? Even if it's going to be the case, don't start that up now. Davis is your guy this week. Tyrod's not even available. We'll see what happens next week. Every week feels like another journey, as you said.
Yeah, and following up on that, Joshua is asking, how is Tyrod Taylor's recovery coming along? I guess it's coming along okay. Culley said that he is making progress, but it's still a week-to-week thing. But you're not going to see him this week. He's not going to play against the Colts. So it could be better, because if it was better, he'd be back and playing. But it could be a lot worse, because they could have ruled him out for much, much longer. We've seen hamstrings and hamstring problems in this building over the years. And right now it's not good, but it could always be worse. And, you want it to you want to see him sooner than later if he is indeed going to be the starter at quarterback, right?
I feel horrible for Tyrod because it was going well in that Cleveland game. A lot of people think they would have won
Yeah.
that game. Look, I don't know if they would have won that game, but they would have certainly competed
You
in
had
the
him in
second half.
position to,
They had
yeah.
they had a chance to win with Davis Mills. They were down 3 in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter, couldn't get the ball back, couldn't get a stop. Buffalo, Carolina was the next one. We don't have to go through all the games here. Look, we all wanted to see what Tyrod could do with this football team, because I think when he's in there, the running game seems to work better. Maybe it's the threat of him running to the outside. He's just a salty veteran. He knows the protections really well. I'm not saying Davis Mills doesn't know the situation, but Tyrod was bringing something really cool to the table for this particular football team. You're not going to get to see it for a while, and it must be pretty bad, because if it wasn't, they would certainly have him back in there and get him off IR. He's eligible to come off IR. We all sort of assumed it would be 3 weeks max, because IR is minimum 3 weeks, and it can't be worse than that, right? Apparently it is. Let's hope there was no aggravation, no setback, and he's still on the road ramping up to recovery and getting ready to play.
Yeah, and I think what's thrown off some people, including myself, was, in the aftermath of that game, either the day of or the day after, Culley said, hey, Tyrod Taylor said, I can come back in, I can keep playing, and
Yeah.
they put the brakes on that. They said, we want you for the long term,
They
we want
all
you for later in the season, don't want to aggravate it. But December, had that happened, they would have sent him back out there if this had been going on then.
They all think they can play hurt. Matt Schaub once told me when he had
Right.
the Liz Frank injury that had it happened right before the playoffs, he might have just like put duct tape on that foot and tried to play in the playoffs. I'm doubting he could have done that. Maybe he could have. I don't know. But they all think they can play through anything and they all want to. And that's why they're competitors. That's why they're high priced professional athletes and they feel like they're not indestructible, but they want to contribute. They want to compete. This is a natural desire. So I understand that.
All right, you asked for it, Mark, and you got it. German Texan on YouTube as this one. It's a
All
very
right.
fitting question. Do you think the Texans will be coming to Germany anytime soon? And I kind of think they have a solid shot at that because it's been since 2019 that they took that trip overseas. Usually it takes a year or two to set these things up. And we heard yesterday that the NFL is looking at scheduling a game in either Dusseldorf, Munich, or Frankfurt in the near future. So, yes, I could see the Texans playing in Germany. I myself had a fun time in London. I know the Texans were glad that they were a part of the game back in 2016 in Mexico City. So, I think in the next few years, they might be up in the order to play a game internationally. What say you about Germany?
I think this is my honest feeling. They're going to go to Mexico City again first, and then they'll go to Germany. So it could take a few
Hmm.
years. But I believe that Germany will get a big foreign game package similar to London. This is just my thought, right? London, you have
Yeah.
that 4 game set. That's where we were at before COVID. It was great. I think Germany's going to get something like that. NFL Europe was big in Germany. The Germans
Yes, it
love
was.
their American football. Let's go. And we saw German fans in London when the Texans played at Wembley a couple of years ago. I think at some point they'll go. There will be enough spaces to play, enough slots on the board to play there because now with the 17 games, and a lot of teams have this extra home game, some of these teams will be saying, okay, I'll forfeit that extra home game in order to play overseas. And Germany's obviously going to be a hot spot. Germany, London, Mexico City. We'll see where else the league goes. But Germany makes way too much sense to not do. So the Texans are going to end up there eventually. I just hope it happens pretty soon because I'm in favor of it. I was born in Amsterdam, not too far away. I want to go to Germany with the NFL.
I do too. It's fun to travel on someone else's dime internationally, and I'm all about it. So let's go. And you bring up a nice point about Germany and NFL Europe. I believe there are at least four teams, and maybe even six back then, because there was such a presence over there. So it does make a lot of sense because you've got a little bit of a
Mhm.
history overseas in Germany. Okay, we have one from Frank. What are the Texans going to do about the giant hole in the secondary? Well, I think it's gotten a little bit better over the last couple of weeks with tinkering of the safeties with Lonnie Johnson and Justin Reed, and then getting Terrence Mitchell back and having Desmond King get a few more reps than he has. So I think it's getting a little bit better in that regard and gelling a little bit more cohesively. It's still not where you want it to be. You got to shore up some things there, but I do think you're kind of seeing an upward tick in that regard, right?
Well, I'm wondering what he's referring to because sometimes, in this zone, when you get the two deep look, you do get this actual hole, right? We've seen
Yeah.
throws over the middle successful for the opponent probably way too often, right? And look, as far as this D goes as a whole, I think the defense is playing better than people think. But this is sands of the hourglass of balancing the scales. If you don't fill your cup up on offense, you get less than half full very quickly on defense because they're on the field more, right? We need to see the offense, particularly in the second half and fourth quarter, most of all, hang on to the ball, go on some extended drives. Sometimes even a field goal drive would do you wonders where you eat clock, put another 3 on the board, and the defense looks a whole lot better when they're sitting on the sideline drinking Gatorade, right? But
Hmm.
you do sometimes see that throw over the middle for opponents, and they got to solve that problem in this two deep that they like to play. But having said all that, look, we've seen takeaways. We've seen Lonnie Johnson back-to-back games with a pick. We've seen Justin Reed get close again after he went back-to-back games with a pick. Let's see more of it. Let's see these safeties go to work more, get guys healthy, see what they can do back there.
Yeah, Lovie Smith always wants more. I mean, any coach does, but Lonnie was joking on Monday morning in the press conference that Justin Reed took away another pick from him on Sunday. He would have had two had Reed not gotten in the way. And they were joking about that yeah, hey, that could have gone and done a lot of good for the Texans. So yeah, maybe more to come as this team moves forward. Bethany has a great question. Bethany wants to know, how well do the Texans stack up with the Colts? Well, They're both 1-4. They've both played tough defenses through this first stretch of the season. So I think they can stack up just fine with the Colts. I think Carson Wentz is playing really well. So at the quarterback spot, they've been pretty impressive, but it's eerie how similar these two teams were last weekend. They had leads on opponents that they gave away in the second half. And maybe something that's good for the Texans is Texans did that at home while the Colts did that on the road a day later and had to come back after the loss. So they're licking those wounds, Mark.
Yeah, shorter week for the Colts. You get back at like 4 or 5 in the morning from a Monday night road game, and it's just horrible to recover from. They're upset. Texans are upset. Everybody's upset. Colts knew they once upon a time came back from a 1-5 start to not only make the playoffs, but to beat the Texans in this building, which was really painful for us. They have that kind of in the backs of their minds, maybe. I mean, some of the coaches do, but they don't want to have to do that again. Look, I think that they match up okay. You have Jonathan Taylor, who's a good running back, and you're going to have to find a way to slow him down. This running game for the Colts scares me a lot more than the Patriots running game did, and the Patriots ran it a little too well for my liking, right? I mean, if you don't get that Harris fumble at the goal line, not only did you turn back a drive with that peanut punch by Terrence Mitchell, but they took Harris out of the game for a long time because they felt like they couldn't trust him. And then the Patriots all of a sudden couldn't run it as well without Harris. Now, the biggest run of the game was still Brandon Bolden out of a wildcat formation, and he got you a first down, or got them a first down in the red zone late in the game, and that was basically almost checkmate. To me, I think they match up okay, Drew, but you're going to have to find a way to get pressure on Carson Wentz. And the Texans don't like to send too many extra people too often. They like to get pressure with whatever 4 they've got up there. So we'll see how they handle it this weekend. I think you might have to take some chances because otherwise this Colts offense, they got a lot of weaponry. They got a lot of guys they can work with up front and skilled position players, and it could be very tough for the defense. And as far as the Colts defense goes, I know Lamar Jackson ate him up at the end. You can't assume that's going to be the case. I just like the way Mills played last week, so hopefully he can continue that. And can you find a way to run the football? That's the big mystery of this football team. Why can't you run the football better? They're going to have to solve that mystery if they want to win in Indy.
Indeed. All right, Mark, always fun doing this with you. We appreciate the folks behind the scenes like Tyler Marcotte and Amanda Caffey helping this all go down. And if you still have questions, keep sending them in because even though we didn't get to them now, I'll try to get to them later on, maybe today, maybe tomorrow on Dear Drew. And we'll have that article out with your questions in just a bit. Mark, appreciate the time as always, man. Good stuff.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. We'll see you all again on a Water Break Wednesday presented by Crown Royal. So long.